Okay, cool. I started my recording again.
Okay.
3,
So,
2, 1. Banana.
banana.
Banana. Fuck.
Nice.
Okay. Do we want to roll with that?
I mean, yeah, I guess if it's easy to sync
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, we can roll with that.
Okay.
Sure.
Shoot. Alright. Hello and welcome to the No Names. This is our first podcast. We were just a group of dudes who just wanted to talk about stuff. We just kind of made this thing on a whim. I'm Jelo, the host for today, and I'm with my co-hosts Lux and Omega. If they want to introduce themselves, they can go ahead and do that.
Hello. My name is Lux. I'm just a kid who's just doing stuff, you know? I have no idea, honestly. What about you?
Yeah, I'm Omega. Fuck. And, I'm just really gonna ramble about fucking anime and manga and probably writing shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't really have like a set thing that our podcast is about, but for the majority of the time, we might be talking about anime and manga. We might be talking about fan games, just game dev and all that. So,
Yeah.
that's just kind of what we want to talk
Yeah.
about.
Speaking of fan games and shit, what are personal projects you guys are working on?
I'm working on the personal project of self-improvement.
Self-improvement, nice.
I mean, what I'm working on really isn't, because like for Game Jam we had stuff, but I just never finished it, so I'm just working on it. I'm working on.
Game Jam was something.
It was.
Dude. Both of you had projects that you ended up dropping. That was.
I had to drop mine just because of school reasons.
Yeah, and I dropped mine because I just lost interest. And if you don't know what we're talking about the Relic Castle Game Jam, or Winter Game Jam that happened.
Yeah, the Winter Game Jam number 2 that happened from January to March.
If you guys check it out, go play Pokemon Bushido.
Yes, I made
free
that.
Plug.
Yeah. I devved on Thundaga's Bushido, and I'm the guy who made Pokemon Parallax, as everybody knows.
Yeah, the guy who made Pokemon Parallax, the pixel density game.
Oh my god! Dude. Look, okay. Dude, I swear, so many people complained about the same screenshot of this one cover.
Yes, because the pixel density that you made.
I didn't know. I thought it was completely acceptable.
I didn't know. You literally
Okay.
it.
Look. For somebody who doesn't know anything about fan games, it looks fine. I didn't even think it was that. I still don't think it's that bad. Like so many people were acting like it was the bane of their existence.
It is.
It's the bane of my existence, and I'll never forgive you for it. I quit playing Parallax the moment I found that, and I am gone. Never touching it again.
Yeah. Okay. Jill. What's your personal project?
Yeah, my personal project. I'm basically working on. So, I kind of quote unquote quit fan games and just working on my own thing. I mean, I help other people with their fan games, like I'm helping Valhalla right now. But I'm not gonna make my own fan game just because I kind of quote unquote grew out of it. So I just work on like personal game projects that have nothing to do with Pokemon. Just the current one I'm working on is Eden's Garden. It's like a puzzle horror game. I haven't touched it in like 3 weeks, but
that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only projects I actually help on is Pokemon Axis by Mashi, and I do concept drawings for that. And
I mean, aren't you also helping with? I know HoloGap, like you're helping with maps. There.
Yeah. I'm doing maps for. I'm doing 2 more maps for Holo for my rent to mapper service. Dude, it's been interesting. He's the only one I've accepted so far, and it's very interesting just looking at how stuff is placed and like learning how to do like these placements that I'm not used to.
Have you ever worked with like that Gen 4 style before? Because I'm pretty sure I've only seen Gen 3 style.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I love the Gen 3 games. I just love using the tiles because it's the quickest to use. Just download the project, open it up, bing bang boom. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of the shit is Gen 4, and so I have put together a few Gen 4 sets. I put one together for if you remember Pokemon Myth, that thing that
Oh,
existed.
the whole thing.
I did do that. I did do the tile set for that one. I put together a few Gen 4 sets using Magikarp and like public stuff I've gotten from Relic. But being given the tile set that's pre-made from a holo and seeing what's there and being limited to that, it's been interesting. His rice paddy stuff has been interesting to work with. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, just to say the least.
On the topic of Myth, I know like that was a whole thing. I don't know if you guys saw the Twitter interactions between Voltsy and the like, Daydream account. I think they were initially branded as Pokemon Daydream, and they had like, this whole scandal
it was
where they
Daydream.
basically like
It was
stole
Daydream
stuff.
And
I don't know what the whole story behind that is.
They pushed blame to Kyle Dove because he was supposedly on the team.
I heard that it was something about like Wesley FG.
Yeah, that's what it was. Wesley FG, not Kyle Dove. Shout out to Kyle Dove though, dude. His tiles are fucking pog.
Oh yeah, Kyle Duff's amazing. Much credit to him.
But yeah, they pushed it onto Wesley, and that was like nobody believed them, and I don't think they still do. But yeah, the interactions with Volty was kind of fucked.
Yeah, I remember like one thing I remember they called him like childish for not because he deleted like all of his previous episodes of the game.
Yeah.
He refused to continue it, and then he was like, "Oh, you're being childish," which was very, very fun to witness.
Bro, that was just our media manager.
I think they've rebranded like 3 times now. I think they went to Pokemon Falcon.
I think it's now.
And now they're,
it's now Myth.
I think
Yeah.
they're under Myth. Yeah.
It was Falcon and now it's Myth, I think. Yeah.
I know that Myth has like a demo out. Have any of y'all tried that?
No.
I haven't played a fan game since Winter Jam 2.
Yeah, I think the only fan game I've touched in recent memory is Tohomon.
Oh, you played
yeah.
Dirks' game.
I opened it up and then closed it and then just never opened it up again. I was like, oh, dude, that's a title screen. And closed it.
Yeah, that's what you like to see.
I think
I'm gonna play. I need to get around to it.
I think it's really interesting, like the stuff that Dirks does, because like it's very difficult to work like in a Pokemon fan game setting and release Tohomon games.
Yeah, and he's building the Tohomon system, which is very interesting. Because he's like had to type it all. He's had to balance like a lot of stuff, which is very hard to do. Well, not hard because it's already been made into like ROM hacks, but time consuming.
Yeah, it's very time consuming.
Yeah, especially working with like essentials, I'd imagine it's probably really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the stuff he's done is amazing to see.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken a look at Tohomon Essentials and like the base maps he has, and it's incredible just to see.
Working alongside him for it was Puppet Play, I think.
Yeah, Tohomon Puppet. Yeah, it's Puppet Play. I can actually check real quick.
Yeah, no, working alongside him was fantastic, dude. I mean, I didn't do much. I edited some graphics and all that, but just seeing the progress that he posted just to DM me just what progress we had, it was so cool to watch.
Yeah, I definitely like seeing Dirks post maps is always like such a surreal thing because like they always look cool. So complicated. They all look so nice as well. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just Toho Puppet Play Festival of Curses.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just like a real shame because like I guess in a Pokemon community, not a lot of people are going to be interested in that kind of stuff.
Well,
like I know personally, I don't know anything about Toho, so.
Well, I mean, it has 1K views. I mean, that's actually really good.
That's really nice, yeah.
For a jam game, I think right now, okay. Besides Cam, who's sitting at like a measly 43K.
Yeah, Bushido has 43K views, and then Villain Jam is second place with 7K. So we have 6 times the amount of that, which is crazy.
Yeah,
I guess talking about
a lot of.
I was gonna ask talking about Bushido, like what was that like working with Cam, working with everyone else?
What was that like?
I think it was definitely like it was a really surreal experience, honestly. I think like working with Cam was probably one of the best things I could have done just from like a learning standpoint because I feel like I went into Bushido like not knowing that much about like what I could expect from Cam as like a dev, and then like I came out and I learned like a lot just about how to do things, and I feel like more capable in my own ability. And it's really interesting because Cam, like, he has that experience in the game dev industry, so we use like a lot of that, and he kind of applied a lot of that to Bushido. I thought it was like just really cool.
Well, I mean, Cam has a website for all his stuff, and I remember finding him through the funniest thing is I found him through when he was making the games that he has.
Oh really?
So like Tidal. Yeah, I remember finding him when Tidal existed.
Just as a side note, for those who don't know who Cam is Thundaga. I don't think we actually explained who he was.
Yeah.
He's a really cool YouTuber. He streams almost every day, I think.
Yeah, you can find him over at, I think, twitch.tv Thundaga.
It's Thundaga Stream, because
Thundaga
somebody took
Stream,
the Thundaga username.
Yeah, Thundaga Stream. But go check out Cam. He's one of, if not the biggest, like, dev besides Marin and Luca, as far as I know.
I'd say he's probably the most popular dev. Yeah. Like, he probably has like the most like public outreach in terms of just fan game dev.
At least in the American scene, at least in the English scene, he's the most popular.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, like the American scene is probably the biggest scene.
Nah, I don't think. I feel like
it's a bit more popular in Europe, like in that area.
Yeah,
I know a bunch of people in our community that's in
a lot of people are in
There's
Europe.
a lot of Dutch people, like, it's surprising.
Yeah.
The
Dutch.
But there's the Spanish scene, the Italian scene.
Oh yeah, I think not a lot of people talk about the Spanish scene. Like, I just like to kind of go onto like Poke Liberty, and like that website is so insane because the resources that they have on there are really cool, but they're all like in Spanish, so not a lot of people use them.
Yeah, but I still think they use 16.2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not like fully updated.
But they have to use an edited 16.2 to fix all the bugs though.
And the thing is, I think 16.2 is like translated into Spanish, and 17 and 18 aren't.
Yeah,
so somebody would have to probably go through the effort of like translating.
I really hope Marino or somebody translates 18 into Spanish, because like imagine that shit with EBDX instead of EBS.
Okay, so again, for the uninformed, 16.2, 18, all that's Pokemon Essentials, which is a very highly used like fan game, like game tool and all that for people to learn and make their own games. And then EBDX is whatchamacallit, it's
a system that overhauls a lot of
it's
stuff.
like a battle overhaul system.
Yeah, a battle in UI. No, it's not. Is it UI?
There's some UI elements
bit,
that like it changes.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's like a major UI overhaul.
Just a battle scene overhaul in general. Let's be honest.
It also changes like a lot of the ways that the battles works, like in terms of just scripting. But
yeah.
On the topic of
you go.
I was gonna say, on the topic of Pokemon Essentials, I think it's like honestly really cool because a lot of people that I know have been expressed interest in like joining fan games and like kind of making their own fan game, and especially when you see big games like Insurgents, Uranium, etc., like the fact that you can like, I guess Xenoverse is up there too now. Yeah. But like you can like go out there and like make your own fan game and like kind of create your own vision, which is honestly really neat. Yeah. And I think that's definitely like a huge basis.
And everybody's very helpful with it too, which is very nice.
Yeah,
everyone's
like the
really
community
nice
is
in the community.
Great.
Yeah.
So
it's a really awesome community.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to start, I'd recommend head over to relicastle.com, or is it dot? Yeah, is it this dot?
Yeah, it's .com.
It's .com.
Yeah, relicastle.com. Check it out.
And then
download a few games.
If you have no idea how to use Ruby, if you have no idea how to use Essentials, Cam or Thundaga, he has some pretty good. He's helped so many people. He's definitely.
There's also I think, if I remember correctly, Marin has a relic thing about Ruby.
Yeah, he has a good tutorial about Ruby. I remember it helps. And Luca also has a YouTube series. I think it's around 6 parts about Ruby.
Yeah. And of course you can always just learn Ruby from like other sites, of course.
And like even if you don't have that coding knowledge, like Essentials
Yeah.
is still very easy to use, and like you can create some amazing things with it.
Yeah, because it's a lot. There's a lot of plug and play scripts that
Yeah,
exist.
There's a lot of like
Definitely.
public help that you can get as well.
Yeah, public help.
What was
and
it?
plug and
The
play.
game has ended. I haven't and still don't know how to use Ruby, but I made that entire game with Essentials and all that, and
Yeah.
it's really, it's really good. It's a
Yeah,
good
you can-
resource.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice.
You
I
guys should
remember.
definitely go check out The Game Has Ended. By the way, it's one of Jelo's favorite.
Yeah,
games.
yeah. Check out the game.
Very,
Is
very fun.
Should I? Okay, you know. Check out my game. That relic. Yeah. Check out. Check out Project Glitch. It exists. It's a game. I don't know when I'll touch it again, if ever again. But I plan to release just all the maps I have into just like a package and ship it out at some time.
I know that
So-
like the Jam game that you were working on, Omega. I think it was like a detective-based game. So like, what
Yeah,
were you thinking for
yeah.
that?
So I think if I remember the name correctly, it's actually let me check because I'm going to absolutely botch my Japanese if I don't look at this. Fuck, where did I put it? Okay.
I think it was like Goodnight Detective or something like that.
Yeah, but I used Japanese in it, which is the thing. Here we go.
It started with an O, right?
Oyasumi Detective. So
Yeah.
Goodnight Detective. That was a very nice thing. I had Kotaro, Owen, and Bryson. I mean, okay, Bryson was there for like balancing shit and helping me write. Owen was there to help me write, and then I had Kotaro there to help me like make stuff. He made the UI, which is really good looking.
I remember seeing the title screen for the game. It looked really
Yeah,
nice.
dude. Oh, the title screen.
If you send me the
we
title
can-
screen when I edit it in post, I can just put it up so that people can.
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can just put it up. Let me grab it real quick. But yeah, it was really nice. The title screen was pretty fucking pog. He also made a select screen for like when you're looking at like when you're like after the start screen.
Yeah, the load screen.
Yeah, the load screen. Let me get that real quick too. But it was a nice idea. It was so basically you're a detective in a city that was being run by mafia, by like a mafia basically, and it started off with you coming in and just escaping from a situation. So that was going to be like the beginning of it, and then it cuts to a few days prior. Just like that cliche is just like, here's the hook, and now you're gonna cut a few days prior to like you get your invitation as the start of the game, and it was gonna be you invited to a casino. I had a whole like game mode planned out for it. It was a very fun idea.
The whole detective vibe, like it reminds me a lot of Ashen Frost. I don't know if you both have played that.
I played it a bit.
I'm a little dumb, so I'm on chapter 2 of it. I'll be honest. I'm on chapter 2 of it.
It's definitely a very like puzzle heavy game, so I can understand.
Yeah, it is, and that's my thing. I'm brain dead when it comes to puzzles, especially like as like high tier as that stuff. But it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I think like Ecat and Michael are honestly like, I'd go as far as to say they're like the two best like devs in the community, just as like standalone people.
Yeah.
Because like maybe there are like projects that are better than Ashen Frost in terms of I guess like quality and polish, but those projects are normally done by like big teams.
Yeah,
and
they
then
have
you
some
see a
big
game like
teams.
Ashen Frost and it's just them two and like I guess a few other people.
Mm-hmm. Like
The level of,
they're
like,
the main
polish of
two,
the game.
but then there are like some people. I think I know you helped out putting in one track for music.
I did 2 tracks. Yeah, I did the
2
main
tracks for
villain
music.
theme and then the title theme for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was honestly like such an honor to work with them. But yeah.
yeah. Their stuff's good. I have a question. What do you think about writing for stuff? Like just writing in general for like a story, because that's something that's also pretty important.
Yeah. I think, like, if I'm working on a game, like when I started Eden's Garden or whatever, I would not do a single thing. Like, I wouldn't make tiles. I wouldn't even try and fake a map or something until I got the story like down and exactly how I wanted it.
Yeah,
I think like
I
a
think
big
that's
thing when it comes to
a bad thing though, just because
Yeah, I think a
I
big
didn't
thing,
get
like-
far.
You didn't get that far.
I think, I mean, because like at one point, because I was working on the story by myself for a bit until my teammate came in, because he was sick for a bit, so he couldn't work on it with me. So I didn't really get that far, and that's also kind of why I dropped out of the game jam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I think like in terms of writing, like just from my experience, I've noticed that like the best way to get like a good premise going for whatever story is to settle on a theme. And I think that's like honestly like I don't mean to like toot my own horn or anything, but I feel like that's very much where Bushido excels. Is like we kind of set on that kind of like feudal Japan era theme.
Yeah,
And, like, we
yeah.
built our entire writing and our entire story based off of like that.
yeah, I think
And like that really, really helped build our story and it helped create like this world.
Yeah, and I remember you talking during the Pog Jam. For people who don't know, that's a thing that was created like I don't know a few days ago by
Yeah, it was-
Lux, ENLS, Cam, Voltzion, and Deadbed, right?
Yeah, that yeah.
U5, and I remember you talking. It was one of you guys. No, actually no, it wasn't during this. It was in the voice chat earlier. You were talking about like story towards like one person could do all this work, but they do it enough towards like Cam could come in from not looking at the stuff for like 3 days and still understand who the characters were, what the story was behind them, and I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, like definitely having like that, I guess, connectedness, and I guess that also goes hand in hand with like teamwork and stuff. Just having like the people there to like support you, having multiple people like on the same wavelength, especially when it comes to story writing, is definitely very useful. Because unless you're doing like a solo project, you want to have people backing you up, because like sometimes your own writing style may not be the best writing style for the vision that you're trying to achieve. So it's always good to have multiple people, and I think like in Bushido especially, both me and Cam were like pouring in ideas, and so it kind of became this amalgamation of both of our ideas rather than just like one of our like visions, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
I think
say the
that's where,
least.
yeah, I think that's where like Winter Jam, Game Jam, all of the Relic Castle game jams like really excel in. I think it really boosts teamwork for the most part. Like, yeah, there are some people who aren't the best people to work with, and then
Yeah.
some they drop out or whatever. But then like to the people that really work well together, like you're gonna produce something really good.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
remember
be so much fun to
writing
play.
for Project Glitch, and it was, well, I started actually like story writing for Altered Memories, which was the like original big project I was planning, to where it'd be 2 stories coinciding with each other. But I was too small brain to understand, so I dropped it. And then I started Project Glitch, and it was like, I kind of just want to map. I mean, I can map and make the story later, and that's what I did. But the problem was, like, I didn't feel like I had the creative room to, like, make the story and connect it to the map, because I didn't make the story first to plan it out. And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason why, like, I stopped, and now I'm just writing, like, my own little story just off of my that I've been English just my own little story that I've been writing, VR Mobile Blacksmith's journey, and it's fun getting it's fun coming up with the ideas to write about, where the story may go, how to do the story well. And I think that's also like a big part to it. If I do come back, I think just like this little experience would help. for writing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to like I guess centralize on the things that you enjoy, because like it's very hard to do like I guess multitask when it comes to fan games. I know like
Yeah.
on the topic of Thundaga, like he's been working on like other projects where he solely like does like mapping and stuff, and he doesn't help with like anything else because he talks about like how it overloads him and it makes him less interested in working on the project.
Yeah, because he has Splice, and Splice is like the breakout project for him.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the few projects he has he's like actually made and published, and it's so good. Like,
I think I played like about an hour of Splice, but I never really got to finish it.
I caught up to current demos time. I've yet to do the Halloween update. That's
But I
something
like
gotta do.
definitely like especially with the people that are working on Splice, like that whole dev team is full of talented people.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think like
even crazier.
Splice.
Oh well, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say I think like Splice definitely like I think it kind of marked the beginning of an era in the fan game community, because before like the development of Splice, Thundaga had just kind of I want to say like he just kind of disappeared into the darkness for a bit, where he
Yeah.
posted tutorials and
Yeah,
videos,
Cam just
and it felt like a
existed.
sort of silent time. Yeah, but then like he came back for the Relic Castle Game Jam 6, and then like we had like a record breaking amount of entries then, and then the Winter Jam happened, and now we have an even more record breaking amount of entries. And I'm pretty sure Game Jam 7 we're probably going to beat like our current record of
Oh,
I think it's
no,
29
no,
entries.
definitely. Because I think it's weird to say, but I think COVID helped.
No, it definitely
No, it
did,
definitely
because-
did.
Yeah, because like people had the opportunity to sit down.
it sounds weird to say, because it's like you shouldn't say it that way, because it's like, oh yes, this pandemic that's killing people helped bring more people to this community, but it's the only but it's actually what happened.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that's like one of the upsides of the pandemic, just having like that time to sit down. I know that's definitely what happened to me, because I think
Yeah.
like I started Valhalla. I guess for those of you who don't know, Pokemon Valhalla is like my main project that I'm working on in terms of fan games. And I started Valhalla March, I think 17, which was literally like around the time the pandemic had just hit its high point, or I guess its starting point. And so like I know like the pandemic is really what inspired me to guys just sit down, because I wasn't really doing anything else. My school would basically just shut down, and they were giving us like maybe like one paragraph a week to do for homework. And so like I guess like fan games were kind of my way to escape from that and just kind of like envelop myself in something. And now like here I am like a year later, and I'm like super into the whole community side.
Yeah,
I'm definitely like a lot more experienced than I was.
I remember you started Valhalla when Enigmatica was a thing.
Yeah, I remember
Dude,
that.
that was an experience. For those, nobody's gonna know really. So for you guys, since you don't know, Enigmatica was gonna be something that would we did get an alpha out of it, and it was very good. We had a story behind it. We had like world design. Me and Owen might have gone a little too far. We might have planned two post game regions, two post game like add-on dexes and shit. But that's how that's how passionate we were. We were like we know this will go somewhere. We know we can do this. And then Owen's computer's just like, peace. And then everything crashed, and it was like, shit. Now what the fuck we're doing?
That's actually a really big shame.
But I have all the concept art for it. We can show this on screen, and it was such a nice game. But
I remember I joined like
but it gets to that
a
point
server
where
like
it's
twice.
like, it's to the point where it's like, once something happens, because like his computer decided to like not work because his graphics card just stopped. And he was also streaming like regularly at that point, and because of that he was just like, all right, I'm just gonna put it on hold, maybe come back, maybe not. And it kind of just stayed there, and just nothing happened, and it sucked. And that's what happens to, like, I feel quite a bit of projects is like,
a lot of projects definitely go into
it gets to that point
realm.
where it's like everybody's there, everybody's focused and ready for it, and then it just halts because it's like something happens, or like development stops for like 2 weeks, and it just fails.
I feel like on the topic of like projects failing, I guess you brought up like an interesting point with like the scope of it. Like you said that for Enigmatica, you had like 2 post-game regions planned. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's definitely like an interesting thing to think about, because I feel like that's where most modern fan game projects fail. Is like they have these huge visions, and like they're never like able to kind of back them up. Even now, like I'm watching even popular fan games like I guess Reborn, Rejuvenation. They're still like pushing out updates. Or I think Rejuvenation's done. I'm not entirely sure. But like I know Reborn is still like doing updates, and they're like
Yeah.
still struggling to kind of like back up this huge plan that they initially had, because like as time goes on, like obviously like mindsets change, things change.
Yeah, and that's
Like-
that's the problem. I think, like okay, hear me out on this. The scoop wasn't the main problem. It was the speed that we were doing development at, because Owen kept changing tile sets, and I've talked to him like after like everything finished, and he was like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. It was a bad idea to do it. But he was glad he did it. He got the experience to like map everything. And I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but it's a lot of that stuff.
I mean, I think that's where like failure in the project and in the community shines. You know, you get the experience. It's not like you lost anything, apart from maybe your time. But like,
Yeah.
even
like,
then, even the time you quote unquote lost, you're still learning something, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, you're still gaining experience, and that's the big thing.
like it's very hard for me to believe that. Well, I mean, I don't even know if this is true, but it's hard to believe that like the devs of say Insurgents or Xenoverse, like that was their first project, which it probably wasn't, right? Like they've probably done smaller stuff in the past, or they had some
Yeah.
experience in game dev, because nobody, I don't think it's even like remotely possible to sit down with Essentials and not know anything and then create something as big as those games.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Insurgents came after Zeta and Omicron, which was maybe it wasn't Suzerain's first game, but it was his breakout game.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So his breakout game was that, and then they made Insurgents, which is blown up. And now they're working on Epsilon, which is returning to Zeta and Omicron's region. It's very interesting, like that. Just thinking of like, hell, if it's, because like this Valhalla is like will be your quote unquote breakout game, and it's from being in the server to like seeing it progress. It's been very interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely very proud of the progress of Valhalla, like,
Yeah.
especially like how far we've come since like March of last year. Like I was
Yeah.
looking back at some screenshots of like the very old project, and I was using like default Magiscarf tiles. Like I had some weird ass like overworlds, but now like the game genuinely, like I can like genuinely sit down and say like the game looks beautiful, it plays really well, and I'm I'm just very excited to release it eventually.
As someone who is working on Valhalla as well as the tile set guy, I think just seeing the tile set, especially the trees, evolve, it's
The trees.
the trees have changed about what, like 5-6 times, maybe more.
Yeah.
I think as far as I've been there, the saturation of the trees has changed 3
At
times.
least the saturation, yeah.
The design's changed twice. I think it's on its 3rd iteration now for trees.
I
It's
mean,
a
to
very
be
interesting
fair,
growth.
I don't want to give anybody like any flack for anything, but like I feel like a lot of people kind of like talk to me about like, oh, your project is changing too much. Oh, like your project is like I know a lot of people mention, well, not a lot of people, but specific people mentioned that they weren't happy with the fact that I was changing my project as much as I was. But I feel like at the end of the day, when I release like a final project, people aren't going to see like how much the project has changed. They're just going to see like what I give them at face value.
Yeah.
And all that matters at the end of the day is that product that I give them, is it good, is it bad? And
Yeah,
like
I
regardless
think-
of how
I
much
think
I have to
it's-
change, like I'm gonna give them a good product at the end of the day.
If it's change and it's a good project, I think it's like gonna be really interesting to just like look back at what the project first looked like, right? You know, like I looked at the tiles for the game has ended, and I've changed those tiles about 5 or 6 times as well, like the trees.
Mhm.
And then I realized I got to the point where I was like, all right, I gotta just pick something and just go with it, or else this entire game jam period, I am just going to be making tiles. So I picked the one that we have right now. But the first one, it looked so dark and edgy, dude. Like the walls.
Well, I mean that fit the title screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The walls were whatchamacallit, like made out of metal. They're rusted. You could see blood stains on them and all that. I can show a picture of it later. And then like the floor was just completely like almost pitch black. And then I was just like, no, this sucks. I gotta change it. And then I gotta change that as well. And I kept changing it. And then I just said, you know what? Screw realism. Erased everything. Picked like 4 or 5 weird colors and just slapped them on the tiles. And it was like, here we go. This is what we're posting. This is how the game is gonna look now.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people, like especially like players from a player viewpoint, like you don't see the amount of effort, or I guess the amount of like progress that goes into making a game. And like you normally just like see what you're given, and like even as somebody who like, I wouldn't say I'm involved in like every dev team imaginable. Like I've definitely had like my fair share of fan games where I'm only like on the player side of it. And like it's really crazy because like I'm sure there's like prototypes and stuff out there for these like brilliant games that like probably look like garbage.
Yeah. Speaking of player side, what made you start like wanting to get into game development as like a player of fan games? Like what game got you in?
I don't think there was a single game. It's really funny, actually. Like
there wasn't a game at all, actually. I never played fan games before I got into the community.
Really?
Yeah. So, my friend introduced me to Pokemon Showdown around, I think, 2015-ish. And then I kind of just played on there every once in a while. But then I found the chat function where there was like an art location. So I joined that. And I just like talked around, got feedback on my art. God, my art back then looked garbage, but like, yeah, I talked around, and then someone within that art community just asked if I wanted to help out with the fan game, and I said sure, why not? That fan game doesn't exist anymore, but it was a wild ride. Because after that,
what game was that perchance?
Yeah, do you like remember anything about it?
Yeah, no, I do. It was called Pokemon Epitaph.
You started on Epitaph.
Yeah, I started on that. It was a really interesting experience. I definitely don't regret joining it, even if I like left kind of out of spite. But it was really fun. I really improved my art like a whole lot. I got really into just like drawing maps, I guess, through that, and then I found Relic, right? Because a bunch of people in that dev server was talking about like stuff that was going on in Relic, and I was like, okay, I want to know what this is about. So I joined like mid 2018, I think. And then I had also joined a bunch of other.
I think that's when I also joined the community. I joined Thundaga in has to have been early or late 2018. And it was interesting because I popped in and I was like, what's up? And I was just like yeah, here's shit I've made, here's this mega for alligator, and I can try and find it so we can show it, and I just come in and I'm like, alright, here's like a page worth of Discord posts from when you use the search function. Time to disappear for 2 years. And during those 2 years, Thundaga just went on a decline. I come back and I'm like, fucks up. And I was just like, who are you? And I'm like, I've been here for 2 years. And they're like, impossible. How did you not get purged? I mean, I'm obviously dramatizing it, but like, in those 2 years, I never got I either I left the server or I got purged from it, or it was one of those two. But I think if I remember correctly, I just found in the bottom of my server list on Discord, and I was like, oh yeah, this exists. Let's open it up, and just re-enter fan games.
I think for me, the thing that got me into fan games, it's actually like a very, very long story. I don't know if you guys know about this app called Amino. It's like this kind of discussion-based app.
I never used it, but I knew about it.
Yeah. Like, a lot of YouTube creators kind of promote it. I think I found it from like some PokeTuber that I used to watch, and I joined the Pokemon Amino.
Amino sponsored a lot of like Pokemon.
They sponsored everybody because they wanted to get their name out there.
Yeah.
They're still
again,
used, but it's they don't advertise anymore.
Yeah, Amino's pretty dead. Like, I used to be a very, very active member on the Pokemon Amino. Like, I'm sure like a lot of people even now would know my name. But like the thing is, I remember I was scrolling through, like, they have this chat function, which is pretty similar to, I assume, what Showdown has, where like you can look at like different chats and like their topics and stuff. And I remember there was one, it was like, let's make a Pokemon, it was like a Fakemon region. And I was so interested at the time. I was like, oh my god, like, what is this? Fakemon, like, this is like so cool. And so I remember, like, it was a Sunday, and I spent my entire Sunday sitting like on the same couch on my little iPad, because I was like 10 or something at the time. And I sat there on my iPad just like we were just throwing around like these kindergarten type sketches of like really crappy Fakemon. But like we eventually created like these group DMs where we like kind of attempt to create quote games, even though we literally had nobody doing any actual like dev work. And like
as
we were always
one
like,
does, one does.
Yeah.
I think that's
we
how
like,
it begins.
we need like a programmer, and then eventually, like, out of some stroke of luck, like some dude joined our thing, and he was like, oh yeah, I know how to make fan games, like you just need like RPG Maker. And so like I remember like I was like, oh, that's cool, and then I forgot about RPG Maker for so long. And then the dude like left the group chat, and then I was like, oh dang. So then I tried picking it up, and I was like, okay, like I can try RPG Maker. And so I probably should be saying this, but like I pirated RPG Maker for like a good year.
Dude, who hasn't?
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't?
Okay, I actually didn't pirate it. I actually went out, bought the Steam card, and bought it.
Really?
Because it was at the point where I didn't know about I knew pirating existed, but I didn't know like where to go do it. So it was like, fuck it, I guess I'll just buy it. And it
Honestly,
and it was
pirating is so much easier than people give it credit for. Like, you could literally just look at a YouTube video, and it's...
Photoshop free 2020, no virus.
Exactly.
Pirated,
like a lot of those videos work, and that's the scary part.
Yeah.
No, but going back to like, what I was saying. Oh,
never mind. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, going back to what I was saying. Like, I pirated RPG Maker, and then I think I found Vendaga like somehow. Like, I looked up like how to make a fan game or something. And like I found his videos and I just watched them religiously. I joined the Thundaga server in 2019, and then like I saw like the fan game recruitment chat, and I joined a project that was called Pokemon Crossbones. It was like supposed to be this project that had like, I guess, like a juxtaposition of like present and past and future, and like it was like a bunch of like time periods. It was like this whole thing, and like we admittedly had like a lot of good art for it, and it was going in a very good direction. I think like at a point we even had animated Fakemon sprites because some people knew how to do that.
Nice. Yeah, I think
then the project just died.
Yeah, I think my breakthrough project was like, I want to try and do this. Oddly enough, it wasn't a project, but it was Canon's videos. And it's like, all right, because I was like, let's humor the thought. After playing Uranium, Insurgents, and like a little bit of Zeta and Omicron, I was like, this is interesting, but I could do it better. you know, because like cocky 13-year-old me is like, I could do this better. You know, I'm better than them. I fucking look up how to make Pokemon game, and Canon's videos come up. He's like, all right, you need this shit. And I'm like, I need money. And I'm sitting there, it's like, I live 30 minutes away from the nearest grocery store to where I can buy Steam cards. I go and buy it. I download it. I'm like, easy money.
I think I haven't spent $1 on fan games. I won my copy of RMXP off of one of the Relic Castle giveaways. It's crazy.
I didn't even touch RPG Maker. I opened it up, of course, and downloaded Essentials, but I never even touched it. I was like, all right, I have RPG Maker. Let's just meme with some sprites and Insurgents, because I was part of the Insurgents Discord like before I like joined Thundaga. So I was like, yeah, here's some like sprites I made. Enjoy. I made them on like Piskel. if anybody remembers what that is.
Yeah, dude, I remember what that is. Yeah.
But yeah, I made him on Piskel, and it's just like, yeah, here it is.
Piskel.
And then funny enough, somebody drew the fucking Mega Feraligatr. It's amazing. I don't know if it has its signature or not, but if it does, shout out to them. Like, dude, that was like, to me that was like, damn, that really helped me. It's like, it brought up my mood. It was like very enjoyable to see. And then I was like, yeah, of course I can make a fan game. Didn't touch the shit for 2 years. Came back in like, I came back like early like late 2019, early 2020. It had to have been late 2019, middle to late 2019, somewhere around there. I'm fucking losing my mind for dates.
I think like in 2 to 3 days, like at the time of recording this, it's gonna be my 1-year anniversary of joining Relic, which is kind of crazy.
It's how many times have I joined Relic at this point? I don't even know. But yeah, it's like, it's really interesting to think about, just like getting into it from playing fan games. Maybe that's how it is for most people, but it's very fun.
I think like a lot of people like look at fan games and they see like, I guess just like the base of it, where it's like, oh, like these new mega forms or these new fake mines, these new regional forms or whatever. But like, there's a lot more that goes on behind the fan game scenes than like people give it credit for. Like, I think about it now, and honestly, like, I wouldn't really play a Pokemon game like today, because I'm like, I feel like I'm grown out of like my Pokemon phase. But it's funny because I'm still like a Pokemon fan game dev. But I mainly, like, when I do my development work, I don't think about Pokemon as much as I think about like the concepts of game development and like what looks good, what doesn't, like what would play well, just like story writing and aspects like that. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I guess that's like both a good and a bad thing, but I think it's also like just really neat.
Yeah.
I guess the community is like really disconnected from the original IP.
I really want to talk to like some people who just kind of just play the games. They aren't a dev, but like, again,
like, really I totally like want to check out like people who are just playing these games and like get like their viewpoint. Yeah. That's like why I did the survey, because I was like, damn, like I wonder what like these people think of like the fan game community.
Mm-hmm. Like, and again, you know, because we have to keep explaining for those people who don't know. Lux posted out a survey just asking people what they like about a fan game, what makes a fan game appealing to them.
On the subject of appeal, what are you guys' thoughts on the whole like Mega Z Move Dynamax debate? Like, what's
oh god, I hate that debate so much, dude. I have written at least oh shoot, I just dropped my phone. I've written at least like a thesis paper.
Paragraph.
Yeah.
And I mean, you link back to Dexit, and Dexit explains it pretty well, because it's like the limitations of RMXP can do it, and RMXP is RPG Maker, which is what we use. But it's the limitations of it can do it, but the amount of time you have to spend to do it, like, I get it, Pokemon Black has like 1,000 Pokemon, and it's like, fuck you, like places of where you can find them, because Kizzy and Sheriff literally just made caves to acquire Pokemon. That's basically what you really have to do, is make like multiple levels of floors of caves to find the shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole argument that every single Pokemon needs to be in the game, and then every single Mega, every Dynamax, Z-move, etc. I think it's... To a player, I can understand. Yeah, oh no, Maractus isn't in the game, what will I ever do? That was my favorite Pokemon. I am one out of the ever, like, 20 people who like Maractus. Or whatever.
Yeah, damn, dude, don't hate us Maractus fans. We don't exist.
Yeah. I like Maractus, and I would be sad if Maractus just disappeared. But what I'm saying is there aren't a lot of people who like some of the Pokemon versus the people who like, oh, I like Charizard. There are quite a lot of people who like Charizard, you know? So I feel like
okay. Which
prioritizing.
Clone 1,
all
2,
of them.
3,
all of them.
80.
Every Charizard. I think the argument that every Pokemon needs to be included is just kind of wrong. Like, yeah, you can have your opinion. You can say that I want every Pokemon. But at some point, we're going to get to the point where Pokemon It's probably not gonna die in the near future, so I can expect at least maybe 2000 before it dies off, if it dies off, you know. And they will get to a point where 2000 is too much to put in one region or too much to code.
We're nearing 1,000 at this point.
We're nearing 1,000 right now. Yeah.
I feel like looking at Pokemon Legends and the Diamond and Pearl remakes, I feel like it's going to start shifting more towards like how Sword and Shield did it. It's going to
I can expect it to go how Sword and Shield did.
It's going to be less. Here's all your favorite Pokemon, and more.
Here's the Pokemon that fit.
Here's the Pokemon that we believe would fit. Yeah. And I like that. I like that. It's like oh, and every Pokemon is like, yeah, it's a mainline game that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take a step back and think like, apply like the fan game logic, you're just like, who the fuck's gonna keep track of it all at this point? Like, there's no point.
I think like a bigger argument to be had is like a lot of people complain about like, oh, like you're not including everything in your game, even though like RMXB has like not the limitations, but I guess the ability to include all 898 Pokemon, but like I guess it's more of like from a game design perspective. You have to think about like, would this make sense like if a player is like walking through this wild grass and they're like encountering like a different species every single time, like at what point does that become like too like overbearing or overloading to the player? And like a lot of people don't understand that. They're just like, oh, but like you could add every Pokemon into the game. And I mean, yeah, you could, but is it a good idea at the end of the day? Is like really the question that you should be asking.
It's not even that. Like, is it a good idea? It's not, just to preface it. But like, not even Pokemon. Like in the main storyline has added every single Pokemon. I've reiterated that point so many times to people who are talking about Dexit. The issue that people have with Sword and Shield is that you cannot transfer your Pokemon from past games over to Sword and Shield, or all of them at least.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that should be expected from fan games. We can't trade. We can't transfer.
Well, yeah. The problem is that the major games, not current major.
I think the only game with trade functionality is like what, Uranium.
But like the era of the big like 3 fan games, which I want to say were Zeta Omicron, Uranium, and Insurgents for like a long time. Those were like the big 3 fan games.
Yep, that was definitely
outside of ROM hacks. Because ROM hacks just, you're on crack at that point. Like you're just that good. But no, it's very interesting. Like those 3 had online capabilities, and I believe still do.
Yeah, they still do.
Because they
it's
paid for
really
external servers to like do the trading and everything.
Admittedly, like servers are pretty cheap, so if you have the money laying around, like you could totally like add that functionality to your game really easily.
But like, here's the thing: we do this for fun. We're hobbyists. We don't have the money laying around.
Yeah, we're hobbyists.
So unless you're Bill Gates, and if Bill Gates wants to make a Pokemon fan game, all the power to him. Unless you're Bill Gates, you're not getting servers up, right?
Yeah.
For the average person. For the average person.
Yeah. I guess it's interesting, like, when you talk about money, because, like, I think, like, increasingly now, like, you see a lot of people who are trying to make it big. Like, they see these big 3, and they see, like, Xenoverse, Ethereal Gates, games like that. And, like, they start commissioning people, I guess.
Yeah,
so, like,
I think there's a... I think at the turn of Prism, I think once Prism was, like, the turn of, like, an era for fan games of ROM hacks, personally.
Yeah, I remember, like, I didn't even know much about, like, fan games at the time, and I heard about, like, Prism getting sued.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that was the turn. That was, like, everybody had eyes on the scene. Everybody. Yeah. And that was the turn of, like, maybe, like, turns in, like, maybe some drop in quality of, like, certain releases. Because, like, there's so many new things coming out. But also the increase in quality of games that are, like, far out from now. Hell, games that haven't even been conceptualized yet that may be made from the effect of Prism being how big of a case it was. Because
I think like especially like in modern day, like I guess the mentality of fan game developers has definitely changed just based on like everything that's happened in the community.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nowadays, you'll see more people that are trying to make a big fan games over like good quality fan games. And I think like the big thing about Uranium and Insurgents, they were both fan games that were made out of passion. Because before
Yeah.
Uranium and Insurgents, there was no such thing as a popular fan game. Like there was no goal to hit.
There was, but the scene was always underground because there was like
Yeah, like
Raptor.
there was no
Raptor
like
EX and
realistic
stuff.
like possibility of being like in that spotlight, and then Insurgents and Uranium created that spotlight.
Yeah.
Like they really
I
brought
think
it to
it's
light.
going to
like,
be. I think it's going to be inevitable that there are going to be more and more people who want to make a fan game to make it big, right? Like YouTubers. Obviously,
Mhm.
not everyone is going to make it big, but and then most people who do it because they love to do it, right?
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
they're just like the 13-year-old kids in all of us that just say, "Oh, I could do that. And I can make it big." But
Yeah, and I think
you know,
I think that 13-year-old in us, because I remember when Pokemon Unity was big, that was like the 13-year-old in like all of us. It was like, yeah, you have this ancient like 2001 like technology,
Mhm.
but me, I have Unity, I have power, and then
yeah.
Pokemon Unity dropped, but then Epsilon came around, and Epsilon's like, yeah, we're just making Pokemon Unity, but better, because like they're just forking it because it's open source,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like I said for Era stuff, like that's going to be like another start.
Yeah, like once Epsilon releases and that stuff is open source, especially
Yeah.
if they get like the amount of support that Essentials does have right now, like it'll be insane to see like what people can create with it.
hell. If they make if the only things they make public is the mapping tool and like their dialogue and like interactable stuff,
Oh
like
yeah.
like menus, interactables, mapping,
that's
and
gonna
everything.
like,
It's bare bones, but it's bare bones enough to where it's like you can get
Mhm.
stuff made.
I think
But-
at this point we've started to get like to the point where we're getting more and more whatchamacallit, like starter kits, right? We got
Yeah.
Yeah, we have-
PSDK, we got Essentials,
Yeah,
and then
we have
once it
we
comes
have
out,
Poke
you know,
Engine
Epsilons.
and PSDK.
Yeah.
Those are the two. I guess you could say newcomers. Those are the two newcomers.
Yeah.
And
But I
PSDK,
think that-
PSDK is making strides.
Yeah. I think that this like getting more and more like starter kits and like different things that we could use to make fan games. I think that's good. That's great, right? Because that means we're gonna get more and more unique like things, right? Like let's say, oh, so and so's game was made out of Essentials, other person's game was made out of PSDK. Like we can already see that in the game jams and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think like it's gotten to a point where even like people outside of the development community can tell like what resources are being used. Like I know like a lot of YouTubers that play like fan games like Hero Voltsy for example, like they can definitely recognize like obviously you can recognize EBDX or EBS like after you've seen it that many times.
Yeah.
So
I
like
mean,
and like you can tell because Essentials and PSDK have like very different feels to them. I think PSDK is like more zoomed out and it's much smoother than Essentials admittedly.
yeah. And plus PSDK, I believe Yuri said that he's planning to move away from ARMXP and make it be its own like entity off of RubyHost.
Yeah,
So-
I've heard
so
about
it'll
that.
be
I
as
think
well.
that's gonna be insane if that is accomplished.
I mean, it's going to be accomplished at some
Yeah,
point
yeah.
in time with how Yuri's been like making progress towards 0.25.
Mhm. I think this might be like a bit of a hot take, but I feel like the biggest issue right now with like these these big engines coming up is the fact that Essentials like refuses to make major changes that other engines are making. Like I feel like Essentials has stayed.
No. Version 19, I believe Mashi had mentioned that it's going to be focusing on. If I remember correctly, it's going to be focusing on battle stuff.
Version
They're
19,
making
you
that
said?
better. Because I think now it's Maruno is. Now I could be wrong again, but I feel like Maruno is more focusing towards focusing on how to make it better.
I mean, I say it more in the context of like, because you mentioned that PSDK was branching out off of ARMXP and into their own RubyHost engine, and like I know like a lot of people talk about like how smooth PSDK is, but the only reason they don't transition is because they feel like there's not enough support for PSDK, or like after like they'd kind of just like be kind of left in the dark with PSDK. And then I remember like there was this whole discussion about it, and basically it's possible to get that smoothness of PSDK in Essentials. And it's funny because like there's like, I think Yuri, like they've mentioned that they're very interested in like kind of merging PSDK and Essentials, so they're both like one big entity that would have that like smoothness as well as the support that Essentials does have.
Yeah.
Which personally I think would be great. But then I heard that Maruno rejected the idea, which kind of like makes me like kind of intrigued, I guess, because like
Yeah.
I wonder why he would reject the like an idea that obviously would move the engine forward in such like a drastic position.
Yeah.
I think it's for like, you know, just to keep. I think Maruno has a vision for Essentials, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Uh-huh.
merging with PSDK is gonna merge two visions together that could go two completely different directions.
Yeah, because
Right.
PSDK has one vision and Essentials is another. Like, it's all just the vision of them, and I think that's what's important in this situation, is like
Mhm.
how they plan to go with those.
I know Marin. I don't remember much about this, but I remember seeing Marin like working on some engine of his own.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
His engine.
I don't remember what that was
his engine's
called.
been like the dark for a long time now. So
Yeah, I remember seeing it like in the early days of when I joined the fan game community, and I haven't heard much from it recently. But I think that could also be really interesting because I know that's based on Essentials as well. At least
No,
I think
it's not.
it is.
It's not Essentials. It's its own thing.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
its
So
own,
it's like PSDK in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
No. It's fully its own. It's running off of its own.
Like it doesn't even use ARM XP.
No, it's its own
Oh.
in-engine, or yeah, its own built-in engine.
That's definitely really
I don't
interesting.
know how much he plans on working on it, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty.
I think it's about time we wrap up. We've been going at it for about a little over an hour.
An
now.
hour, yeah.
I
A
feel
little
like-
over an hour, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've covered enough topics to where I can be happy with this first episode.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think we can
I think this is
wrap
this has
it
been
up for
very fun.
here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much for listening in. This was kind of more of just, I guess, quote unquote, a test run to see how things would go. I think it went pretty well.
I think it definitely.
Yeah,
went
yeah,
really well,
Yeah.
this went really well. I am excited to see where it'll go from here. Like, as we said, we won't focus on fan game topics.
Yeah,
I-
we'll totally
I-
talk about like other stuff as well.
Yeah, I just feel like today was like a good way to get us into it because, of course, that's gonna be our general audience for these first few. But I feel like we'll probably expand out into like what we normally do, what our like passion projects are. Talk about those
Well, we
a
just
little
kind of
bit,
talk about in general.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
when
just
we
talk
aren't
in
doing
general.
fan game stuff.
Because, I mean, like,
What's
our
going
whole
on in our
lives don't
life.
revolve around
Yeah.
fan
Yeah.
games, obviously.
Just like how Jelo wants me to read School Days. We'll talk about that. In the episode. For now, yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. This was
Yeah, thank
fun.
you guys for listening in. This was definitely really fun. I'm very excited to see where we go in future episodes.
We will probably see you guys next Saturday, depending on if we can keep an upload schedule. I think we can.
I think we
Fine.
can.
No,
I think
knowing
we
your
can
track
have a
record,
schedule.
we probably can.
Knowing my track record, we probably won't because I still haven't uploaded that Among Us video that I edited like 4 months ago. But
All right. Well,
I
it's time
think
for you to
because
make, it's
I'm
time for you to
actually,
make a new one because the new map dropped.
Oh, the new airship map.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
I think
So-
now that like, because I'm into some podcast stuff, so I think I'll be able to edit this, push it out Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
we'll see you guys next Saturday.
Yeah, see you guys
Keep
next
a-
Saturday.
If we can keep an
Bye.
upload schedule. If not, we'll see you whenever we upload next.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.